Hey, Amie,
Yeah, Juan.
give me that beat.
It's Baseball Shangri-La with Amie Cuevas and Juan Ramirez.
What's up, party people? She is Amie Cuevas. I am Juan Ramirez. You are listening or watching Baseball Shangri-La. If you're listening to us on the audio portion of the podcast, please make sure you're subscribed to the podcast. Rate us, write us a review, help spread the word. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. Hit that notification button. Give us a thumbs up. Leave us comments. We love engaging with you. And most importantly, make sure you're following us on social media on X at BB Shangri-La, on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch at Baseball Shangri-La. Hey, sneaky little General Organa, what were you trying to do there?
It's Leia to you. Thank you very much.
Hi, hi, Amie. How are you?
Good. How are you? It's much like every time we record. It's been like I haven't seen you in forever.
Yeah, long time no see. Okay, so when we last left you, Amie was holding in her feelings for a topic that it's going to be. Oh, she's switching to the black hat, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you listening to this episode, she usually wears her blue baseball Shangri-La hat. She's wearing the black, so she has joined the dark side. Before you go completely dark, Amie, let's start off with some positive stuff. We didn't go into this because we were covering a lot of baseball stuff in our last episode, but Justin Turner made his return to Dodger Stadium. So let's start with some positive stuff before you go dark. What was your reaction to Justin Turner coming back to Dodger Stadium?
You know, I love anytime he comes back to the stadium. I'm bummed I didn't get to go see him at that game. I think we were recording, so priorities. But just seeing all the fans that were ecstatic to have him there. You saw the media that got to interview him. When he walked up to the plate and they gave him a moment just so that he could get that ovation, God, he's such a great player. I adore him. It was such a moving moment, and I'm glad that he got the reaction that he did from the crowd because he deserves it. He's a lifelong Dodger. I'm hoping he'll come back as part of the managing team. But yeah, how did you feel when you saw him?
You know what? It's funny because if you saw throughout the series, every time he came up to bat, he got a standing ovation. And I thought the standing ovations in the second and the third game were better than the initial standing ovation that he got. Now,
well, you've got all different fans too, so
yeah, and there was also a pregame ceremony on that in that first game, so that might have been a better ovation than he got at his first at bat. But I did think it was great that the Dodgers actually gave. I forget the amount
I think it was
$10,000 to the Justin Turner Foundation. For those of you who are not familiar, when Justin Turner played for the Dodgers, he was very involved in the community. He was doing a lot of stuff, and Justin Turner's wife was there also with their new baby on the field. Courtney Turner was there to accept the donation from the Dodgers. Look, to me, it was great. I mean, that guy spent 9 years. I think
nine of the best years.
Yeah, and look, if it was his choice, he'd still be here. It was the Dodgers that said no. And so there's a growing theme in this episode. But I will say this, Amie, I'm glad that he got the flowers that he deserved because he did deserve it. I mean, this is a guy that when he first came to the Dodgers, he was a utility guy. He was a bench player. He was a project, and he soon became like the heart of this team. He became a guy who you depended on in the postseason, who came up big in the postseason. So for me, it's just so funny because just a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about Dusty Baker going into the legends of Dodger baseball. I see Justin Turner eventually going into the legends of Dodger baseball because
100%.
I think his contributions to the organization, the fact that the fans love him, the stuff that he did for the community, it's just because he said when he came to visit, during the series, he made the comment that he would love to come back again, another recurring thing. He would love to end his career as a Dodger. This was on the heels.
If he gets like the number, I want him to have a number up in the Ring of Honor too, but I want it to have the pine tar stain on it. That's like my dream one day.
He's not going to.
I know, but a girl can dream.
That's true. That is a nice touch. And you know the story behind the pine tar, right?
It's when he swings, he like the back swing.
I'm not sure if a lot of our viewers are familiar.
Oh no. The day that they did the giveaway and they had the pine tar already on the giveaway jerseys at the stadium, I walked by a couple guys and they were like, "Why is mine dirty? Hey, mine's dirty too." And I was like, "Oh my God, it's the pine tar you got." Okay. All right. Kept walking to my seat.
I love your impression, by the way, of those dudes.
Thanks.
You do a really good impression of dudes. Ladies and gentlemen, Amie as dudes.
Why is mine dirty, bro?
Yeah, and it's interesting because, like I said, I think he wanted to continue being here.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a numbers game for the Dodgers, just like we're going to get into it in a little bit. But it is a very
how many times I'm going to heavy sigh through this episode.
You know, look, he had a very good season last year for the Medias Rojas, and he bet on himself, and he ended up making more money this year. He's not having as good a season this year as he had last year. So he started with the Toronto Blue Jays, and now at the trade deadline went to the Mariners, which is how we saw him. Yeah, so we saw him twice this year. We saw him in Toronto with the Azulejos, and now we see him here at Dodger Stadium. I'm glad that he was able to make his return, but I do think the writing is on the wall in terms of him coming towards the end of his career. I don't know how much longer he's going to play. Yeah, I think would like to see him end his career as a Dodger. Now, I think maybe more along the way they did it with Matt Kemp, because he takes up a roster spot.
And that's the challenge. And we already have a DH. So
yeah. And so I don't know if Justin Turner, but again, to me, it really highlights how special it was that what Matt Kemp said when he got to come back to LA in 2018 and kind of write his own ending with the Dodgers, because that one also was one that didn't end well on his initial run. So I'm sure Justin Turner would love a situation like Matt Kemp did, where he could come back and kind of write his own ending with the Dodgers. Will he get an opportunity to do that? I don't know, but I thought it was the Dodgers did the right thing. I thought it was great. I am glad that the fans acknowledged him and gave him the love that he deserved, because
he got the time at the plate, because as we saw last year with the inception of the pitch clock, or the pitch clock, that they did not do that initially. And I'm glad that they're making room in those big situations. Just give them a second. Like 1 minute isn't going to stall your game. Let the fans have their moment with their player.
Absolutely. And, and he addressed the crowd before the game on Monday. So, yeah, look, that is a dude. One of the things that I will never forget about Justin Turner, and it's very noticeable now, is when Justin Turner played for the Dodgers, there's this thing, for those of you who know this, who go to Dodger games, in the second inning, the Dodgers always recognize a military veteran of the game. And so they highlight them and they put them up on the scoreboard, and then that person stands and everybody in the stadium acknowledges them. And they used to bring them on the field. I don't remember. Do they still do that? Do they still bring them on? Yeah. Yep. But it's just from the other side now. Before it's from the
same. Oh, I don't know. Maybe they're.
I think it's from the visitors' dugout now. When Justin Turner was there, they would do it from the home side. And so what would happen is...
I'm going to have to pay better attention this time, because I thought it was still on the...
No,
it might change, but...
I don't know if it was just for the game that I noticed it.
Let us know, guys. If you know, throw it in the comments.
I noticed that it was on the visitor's side. But when Justin Turner was there, it was on the home side. So the veteran would come out on the field, wave and everything, and then they would go through the gate by the Dodgers dugout. And every time they walked by the Dodgers dugout, Justin Turner would go over to them, shake their hand, give them a signed ball. And I don't see anybody on the Dodgers do that anymore. Now, it may be because they're on the opposite end of the field, but that to me was something that Justin Turner was known for. Again, I can't stress enough that the work that this guy did for the community. And like I said, I do expect, whether it's going to be in a front office capacity, if it's going to be as a manager, I do think Justin Turner is going to make a return back to the Dodgers. I just don't know in what capacity.
He better.
I don't know in what capacity, but
You're
eventually,
not prescient? You can't just like, oh, I know it's going to be in this role.
I don't have that sixth sense.
Use the Force, Juan. Use the Force.
Okay, General Organa.
It's Leia to you, sir. Leia.
I do expect him to be in the Legends of Dodger baseball.
Okay, well then at least his blazer has to have pine tar on the back of it.
That would be funny. That would be a good touch.
Okay.
So all right, let's transition. We've put this off long enough. Just like the end of the Justin Turner era, like Justin Turner was holding out a lot. He was holding out because he signed with the Las Medias Rojas very, very late in the offseason.
Kike recruited him.
Yeah, because he was trying to see if the Dodgers could figure out a way to sign him. And they eventually didn't give him the money, and he ended up going to the Red Sox, and he was reluctant. So it was a perfect example. And look, this happens all the time. This happens a lot, not only just with the Dodgers, but it happens a lot with teams, all over Major League Baseball. And that is important players of organizations end up leaving. Look, Steve Garvey left when he went to the show pods. Look, it
like doesn't mean we have to like it.
And that's true. So it was a very good reminder. This is the business side of things, and not everything has a happy ending. Which lends me to the Jason Heyward designated for the DFA of Jason Heyward. And at the time we are recording this, he is a free agent. So if he ended up signing with a team between now and when we drop this episode, my apologies that we did not include this because, like Amie said, we can't predict the future. But there were a lot of people that were upset by the Jason Heyward DFA decision. Amie, do you think they were upset because of the timing of it, or they just were upset that Jason Heyward got released? Because the timing of it, I think, rubbed people a long way, because it was just after he had hit that big home run to win the game. And then that following day, right after that game, they told him, hey, you're gone. But your thoughts on how does this make you feel, Amie?
Well, I still stand by I'm bummed. But to your original question, I think everybody has their own reason why it impacts them. Some people are going to think it's timing. Some people just didn't want him to go. I think there's a multitude of reasons. We know how close he is with Freddie, and like that's a bummer as well. I heard a lot of mixed things on social media about like, oh, so he hits a 3-run home run, saves the game, and then you guys axe him. But then it's also like, well, if he was going to go out, he went out on a high note. So like, I mean, everybody feels their own way. I'm really sad because he was a really good clubhouse presence there. We saw him working, with Outman last year, with some of the players this year, just the guidance that he gives to the rookies coming up in general, and just who he is. His presence is felt. He's always so just nice, friendly, like there's not a bad word you can say about the guy. And it's just unfortunate that lineup wise, roster construction wise, he was the odd man out once Mookie ended up going to right field, because they've got that log jam in the infield now. And it's unfortunate because he only plays one spot. He got displaced.
And this is where, again, I am the Prince of Darkness, but I am not a monster. But I will say this. Look, the organization owes it to those guys that are on the team right now. Those people, the guys on the team are trying to win a championship. So you have to put the best people out there to go ahead and win a championship. And every time anybody talks about Jason Hayward, the things that they always lead with are his leadership skills, his character, how good he is in the clubhouse. I never hear anyone lead with he's killing it at the plate. He's really delivering. I don't think you can ignore the fact that for the whole year the guy was hitting 208.
Well,
And
and there was the argument of, did we bring CT3 back too soon, where we could have left Chris Taylor on the IL for a little longer till they expanded the roster. And while I understand where some people are coming from with that mentality, but it still doesn't really leave a spot for Heyward. You're still, to your point, if he's not hitting to the extent that they would like, you've still got two people out in right field. I mean, he can come off the bench, but how often is that going to happen with Mookie out there now?
I do want to address the Chris Taylor thing, because this poor guy, he's catching it left and right.
All he did was come off the IL and then he got slammed.
Yeah, and so there's two things that I want to address with the Chris Taylor thing coming up, because that poor guy, when he played on Sunday, I know whether he admits it or not, there's a lot of pressure, because if he doesn't get a hit, the first comments is going to be, we DFA'd Jason Hayward for this guy, who.
But at the end of the day, Chris Taylor still plays around the diamond, whereas Jason Hayward's isolated to the one corner.
Well, and that's the argument that I hear all the time for why you keep Chris Taylor, is the fact that he can play multiple positions. That's true, but there's also a lot of repetition, because there are people who feel that having Chris Taylor is just having another Geeke around, and Geeke is performing. Geeke is delivering. Geeke is a right-handed bat who plays all over. So why would you get rid of Jason Hayward when you have duplication with Chris Taylor and Geeke is outperforming Chris Taylor? So
that was my thought too, because Hayward is a little bit better off the bench. When we do have CT come in, he can be clutch, or he, 50-50 stats are, it's half and half. So I don't know. Any way you break it up, like I feel like it's doing a disservice to Chris Taylor to lump him into that. Like it has nothing to do with Jason Hayward getting DFA'd. And like you said, he unfortunately got pulled in and he's getting strays, where it was a business decision, and it just sucks. The whole thing, it sucks to lose a player that we all love and adore.
The business decision aspect is something that I don't think can be ignored. He is owed a lot of money. He is owed, I believe, about $30 million. And
Hayward or Taylor?
Taylor.
Mm.
And so Jason Hayward
was like $9 million. That's
yeah,
where I got confused.
He was.
Like,
Hayward is $9 million, and he's maybe got about $3 million left in that. So $3 million compared to $30 million, what do you want to pay, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's a business aspect of it. As much as people want to say the Dodgers can afford it with all the money they're making off of Ohtani, look, as a business person, 30 million compared to 3, look, I'm sure a lot of them will say, look, we'll eat the 3 million. But the other aspects that I want to speak about, the when people say, well, why couldn't they just hold on to Chris Taylor until the roster expands and then you don't have to make the decision with Hayward? I mean, here's my thing. With the new collective bargaining agreement, it is very hard. I know we kid around this all the time with, we're going to tap him on the shoulder and be like, hey, your leg's bothering you, you're going on the IL.
I don't kid around about that, because I don't like that whole Phantom IL talk. So
yeah, they're really cracking down on the Phantom IL stuff. And I mean, the Mets got caught, the Metropolitans got caught with Phantom IL stuff last year. So if Chris Taylor is going around saying, I'm healthy, I'm ready, I can play, you can't keep him down. You can't keep him down. You have to activate him.
And it's a disservice to Hayward if you're going to cut him. do it sooner than later so that he does have an option to get picked up by another team before September 1st. Because that's jinky just to wait till the, not that anybody did that, but like that would have been just to wait till the end and like, all right, well, good luck. Thank you for your time.
Exactly, and that's the other aspect of it. Like in terms of a baseball decision, look, like he may have been able to play center field. Defensively, I don't think he's as good as Kiermaier. And the other guy who can play center field is Tommy Edman. So if you have a right-hander on the mound, Kiermaier is going to be batting, and actually Kiermaier is actually hitting better than Heyward, if not the same. So if Kiermaier is better defensively and is giving you the same offensive production, I understand you go with Kiermaier. If there's a left-hander on the mound, Tommy Edman is going to be the one playing out in center field.
Well, and Kiermaier's been he's a reclamation because he was hitting 195 with Toronto. He's hitting 243 with the Dodgers right now.
Exactly, which is better than what Heyward was doing. Mm-hmm. The only argument that you have on the positive side for keeping Heyward is that Heyward as a pinch hitter was successful and was hitting well as a pinch hitter. And at this time is your only threat off the bench left-handed. Your only left-handed threat off the bench.
You ask me often if I get concerned or if I get, worried about things. That right there, that's what I get worried about, is when like we're pulling some people off the bench and we know they're going to do their best, but it's, they're track record wise, they're going to be swinging for the fences instead of moving somebody over. And that's my concern.
And so that's what we won't know if this was the right move until the end of the season.
Well, it doesn't matter because it's done. So wrong move, it's a done deal. So
look, all the fatalists will say he's going to end up signing with a team that the Dodgers will end up facing in the playoffs, and then Heyward is going to get his revenge, and he's going to come back and he's going to hurt the Dodgers.
But you could say that about anybody. Like, had Kiermaier stayed in Toronto, would he have continued on his trajectory? Would he have improved? We'll never know. He comes over to the Dodgers and now he's doing better. Everybody has their different motivations. So I don't know that we can necessarily say like, oh man, he's performing better over there, like we should have kept him. I think that's an unfair statement. Different environments yield different results, just like we're seeing with Teoscar Hernandez, where he didn't hit as well as he would like to with the Mariners. And look what he's doing over here at Dodger Stadium. I think different environments, just like I said, yield different results. And so you can't shoulda, woulda, coulda at the end of the season because you'll never know. You can't, those are not the same formulas.
Yeah, so it comes down to a philosophy thing in what the Dodgers valued more. But I do feel, like you said, you cannot ignore the fact that this was not strictly a baseball decision, that this had a lot of business involved in it. Then the fact that Chris Taylor is owed a lot of money, and that's a lot of money to eat.
I would say it was totally a business decision, because if the team could have kept him, I think they, especially like you said, hitting off the bench, I think they would have, but roster spots are at a premium right now.
Yeah, and so a lot of the talk is that the Braves are going to sign him. And I mean, the fact that he's a free agent, he can sign with anybody. It's not like nobody claimed him off of waivers, so he can sign with whoever he wants. Now, the Milwaukee Cerveceros, they could use him right now, especially with Yelich being out for the season. They could use a left-handed bat that plays in the outfield. But Heyward used to play for the Braves, so maybe he'll go with something that is familiar. The Bravos are starting to play better. And guess what? The Dodgers are going down to Atlanta in a couple of weeks. I don't know if that's going to factor into Heyward's decision. Because, look, what's being reported right now is that he is very upset. The quotes that are being attributed to Federico Freeman in both The Athletic and the LA Times, where people are asking poor Freddie, hey, have you heard from Heyward?
Let the man mourn his best friend. Jeez.
And Federico is basically saying, well, how would you feel if you got fired? Of course you're not going to want to talk. So Is Heyward angry? Is Heyward completely blindsided by? Was he blindsided by this? Because I feel like Dave Roberts was hinting at this earlier in the week, saying that Heyward was going to be the odd man out. Did Heyward like not hear that?
Speculating. I don't know. I.
No, I mean, Roberts was specifically asked about
No,
Heyward.
no, I'm saying like speculating how Heyward felt, because I've seen a couple articles where Heyward, they already had some conversation, so he knew that it was a possibility. So at that point, to me, I guess that's where it becomes speculation, because we weren't in the room. Did they have conversations prior to Wednesday evening? I don't know. Like, it just sucks.
And it doesn't really matter, right? Because whether you saw it coming or you didn't see it coming, it still sucks to be about a part of a team and a team releases you, because there's how else can you take it other than you're releasing me because you don't want me anymore? Like, why don't you want me on the team?
Well, I think he understands why. Like, I don't know that it necessarily comes down to they don't want him. I think if they could keep him, they would. It's just we have roster lineup log jams. Like, you can only have so many people on the team, as we're seeing with even Honeywell getting DFA'd, which that's one of the ones that shocked me too, where it's like, okay, we DFA'd him to bring up Kasparius, and then we sent him down and he didn't even play. Like,
well, but that was because they had another move coming, because again, it was going to be another logjam in that bullpen. They were going to activate people, and it's easier to DFA someone that you had no intention of having
somebody, yeah,
that wasn't going to play. So it is one of those things where, look, again, I just don't think you can there's no way around it.
This is the side of baseball I hate.
Look, he's the odd man out because of the moves the Dodgers made, the trade acquisitions they made. And the reason why they made those trade acquisitions was because he wasn't performing on the field. You were not getting the production out of that spot. If you were getting that production out of that spot, you don't think the Dodgers would have said, all right, Mookie, you're going back to second base. We're not going to send you to right field. We're going to put you to second base.
No way. They take out Lux from the lineup.
Exactly. And that's the other thing is now Lux went crazy and he was producing. So again, you have a responsibility to everybody on that team to put the best people out there. Lux is producing. Heyward was not producing.
I don't think it's mutually exclusive though. Like, I think you're right in that respect. Like, it absolutely is a business decision, but it also is it's the crappy side of baseball. Like, nobody wants to see their team break apart. It doesn't even matter if it's just the end of the season and some people are leaving in free agency or other people are going to retire. Like, you don't like to see your baseball dynasty kind of fade away. Nobody wants to see that. And it's even harder when you've got a guy who's been a part of the team for almost 2 years. He's kind of helping you get this far, and then he takes another road because he didn't fit into the plan, if you will. And it's sad. It's a bummer.
It is sad. It's a bummer. Beto Duran, who works for ESPN LA, grew up in Los Angeles, and he's a huge Fernando Valenzuela fan. And I talked to him once because I was like, man, I feel like you're really hard on the Dodgers. And he told me, he's like, I stopped being a Dodger fan when they released Fernando Valenzuela. And that's the thing. You have to like we were talking about with Justin Turner and the decisions. This happens a lot. This has happened throughout the history of baseball. And I remember him, and when he said that, I remembered they cut Valenzuela at the beginning of the season in spring training. And I mean, that is a guy who was so important to the franchise for a whole decade. And that's the treatment that he got. He was no longer valuable to him. And so that is one of the, like you said, it's one of those ugly aspects. It's one of the things that you don't like about baseball. And it is, you lose the humanity of it. You are no longer seen as a human being. You are measured between value, and you no longer have a value to us. So we're going to get rid of you. That's the business side.
And you'll still have people scream at the end of the year though, like people will be upset about releasing J-Hay, but then if they don't make it all the way, then it's like then they're not happy that way either. And it's like, all right, well, we literally did everything we could to put us in the best position. It's like not enough. That's not enough. And it's like, okay, there are just some people you're never going to make happy. These business decisions fall into some of that category, but to your point, it is in the best interest of the team to move forward with what they think will get them to October. And so,
look,
I mean, we can go back and forth on this all day.
You've said it many times. Those are people that are fans of winning, not necessarily of a team, but of winning. So let's segue to another topic, talking about winning and losing. Amie,
okay.
So on the
that was heavy. I don't know how you wear this black hat all the time. It's so heavy.
Hey man, it's all about living that Johnny Cash life, man. Johnny en efectivo, Juanito en efectivo, ladies and gentlemen. Look, this whole this year, I don't know how many milestone balls Shohei Ohtani has had. I mean, there was his first home run as a Dodger. There was the one where he set the record for most home runs by a Japanese player. And then there was just most recently the 40-40 home run ball. And so there is this culture out in the outfield. They're called ball hawks, where people just go out there and they want to catch that one of those baseballs because it's like a lottery ticket. And I was hearing, and I don't know if this is accurate, I don't know how you measure this, that whoever had caught that 40-40 home run ball, that at least it was going to be in the tens of thousands worth at least the tens of thousands of dollars.
I'm not going to lie, when I saw the clip, because I went back and watched after, where the ball, did it go out? Did it go in the stands? And when I saw it bounce back into the stadium, I breathed a sigh of relief of okay, Shohei's going to get this ball. There's not going to be any hubbub around it. It's going to be great. I went into the evening and into the next morning just happy for him. And then I saw a clip on Twitter and it showed Jose Siri throwing it back into the stands. And to be fair, I don't know if other teams are aware of current, the team they're playing's milestones. I don't know if they care about that stuff, if that was buzzing around the stadium or not. But he threw it to the fans, man of the people, gave them the ball. And when I saw that clip, I cringed. I was like, no.
So two things on that, Amie. One, the guy who dropped the ball, okay, he was wearing a Rays hat. I don't know if he was a Rays
went
kid,
off the glove or he didn't quite get it.
But it's bro, first of all, you're a grown-ass man with a baseball glove in a stadium.
Did you? Okay.
He's not a kid. He's a grown-ass man. And then you freaking drop it? So not only that, Amie, but do you know they've identified the guy who Siri threw the ball back to?
No, I didn't know that.
His name is Troy Buenteo. He was interviewed Monday morning by Rogan and Rodney on AM 570.
And they were able to authenticate the ball?
So there is a video. I don't think they can authenticate it because of what you're going to get into. But I just want to say that even hearing the guy's story, Troy Buenteo, when he talks about the fact that he just looked up and he saw the ball coming because Siri just threw it and it went right into his glove. Even hearing the story, that dog don't hunt. So even if they wanted to authenticate it,
that you saw everybody scuffling. It wasn't I didn't see a clean catch.
I saw a video, but I didn't see a video of the catch. What I saw was the celebration afterwards, everybody congratulating him because he had the ball. But explain to our audience why the authentication process now is going to be very difficult for that ball.
Because nobody knows if, did somebody have another ball? Did it get swapped? And we're hey, authenticate this one. And, I'm still going to keep this other one. So there's no way once it leaves the line of sight to verify that was indeed the ball. Now, I was in the press box talking with some of the people and somebody mentioned, well, I think it was, I can't remember which player, but it was like 20 years ago when they were, or maybe it was Barry Bonds, whoever it was, when he had a record coming up, they would use numbered balls.
That was Barry Bonds. It was Barry Bonds.
Okay. Thank you for saving me from a base running blunder. Why are we not doing that if Shohei is supposedly the face of the sport? We know he's going to be doing these milestones. If he's up to bat and something like that's happening, you just have a separate like bag that you pull from. Okay, real quick, let's just do these. All right, we're done. Let's balls back in the bag and put it away. But at least at that point, you could still authenticate it, and then you don't have these issues. Whether the fan gets it and gets to keep it, at least from the fan perspective, they know, or if they are willing to trade it, then the team knows if Shohei gets it back that this was in fact the ball. I guess it's not rocket science. So like, why are we not doing that? It takes a split second, especially to record these moments. And maybe that does end up in the Baseball Hall of Fame one day. And now we'll never know.
I get what you're saying, but what they were doing with Bonds, that is an all-time record. That is the level of historic. It's apples to oranges.
I'm not trying to like put him up with Bonds, but I'm just saying, and not just with Shohei, but like anybody who has like a big milestone coming up, like why not just do that? So we'll take Shohei out of it. We know he has a huge milestone, so you have the balls on hand. Every stadium has their own. Like what? Like why not?
No, I agree. I think it's valid, but it's got to come from Major League Baseball, and it's got to come from Manfreding.
Well, okay. I'm sorry. I stand corrected.
But I just don't think even that this poor Troy Buenteo, even if he goes around saying, "Hey, I have the 40-40 ball," I just don't think I don't think it was authenticated at the stadium. And once he leaves that stadium, I mean,
as long as you're just like, you know what, I got the ball and I get to keep it, and that's your joy. Okay.
I mean, it's lost value. I'm sure there probably is someone who still will spend money if he chooses to sell it, who will try to buy it off of him. But it's not the same thing if like that guy in the race, with a glove, if he would have caught it cleanly, they would have immediately escorted him. It would have gotten confirmed, it would have gotten authenticated. And then if he wanted to sell it, whatever. But like I said, that is the mentality I hear. It's like a lottery ticket for these people. They're out there trying to catch that ball because they're going to sell it. They're going to make a lot of money. I mean, look, we've had this conversation before, but I do look, I don't think it's better than what we already have in place. Your idea. I will say that.
I mean, hope in one hand
and Juan in the other, ladies and gentlemen. So let's segue to our last story, because this is what I like to call our Marty McFly story. So, Amy, you want to set it up?
Our Marty McFly?
Yeah, this is our Back to the Future. There was a player on the Boston Red Sox that got into a DeLorean. So do you want to set it up?
Yeah. So on June 26th, God, I didn't even write his name down. His full name. Is it Danny? Shows how much we did all that prep before the show, and I didn't even write his first name. Danny Jansen. Yes. So Danny Jansen was on the Tampa Bay God, I keep doing that. Toronto Blue Jays. And he was catching at the time. He happened to be up at bat, top of the second. There was 1 out, 1 on, and they stopped for a 2-hour rain delay before they decided to call the game. So at that time, that was before the trade deadline. He gets traded to the Boston Red Sox. The Boston Red Sox catcher Reese McGuire has since been traded as well. So now when they resume the game today, August 26th, on Monday, as we're recording this, Jansen will resume the game as catcher, even though technically when the game left off, he was at bat with an 0-1 count. So Toronto's going to have to pinch hit for him, and he's going to have to catch for himself, whoever ends up pinch hitting, which we ultimately found out was Dalton Varsho. He struck out. And then Danny Jansen tried to throw out Schneider, his old teammate, who was on first base at second and then missed. And so Schneider stole second base.
It's totally the plot from Back to the Future. Do you see what I'm saying now? Danny Jansen is Marty McFly right now.
I mean, I haven't seen that movie in so long, so I know I'm going to get crap for it, but I like, yeah, I'll take your word for it.
Well, it's one of the crazy things about baseball. It is a funny story like that. Would it have been crazier? No, I don't think it happened. I think there has been an instance where someone has been traded in the middle of a game.
Yeah. Oh, that's happened before. But this was the first time so this is making MLB history for somebody who's basically leaving their at bat, getting pinch hit for, and then they're catching their at bat because the game is resuming 2 months later.
Very special circumstances, but it is very, very interesting to say the least.
Okay, and Alex Cora was game. He was like, absolutely, he's catching. So,
of course, at this point, why not? I mean, do it. All right. Before we wrap things up, I just wanted to bring this to your attention. I'm sure you already know this, but so on Sunday, when we were covering the game, the Dodgers, it was Lakers weekend this past weekend with the Dodgers.
They had the Showtime Lakers there on Saturday.
Yeah. And then Sunday, they gave out the Kobe jersey. And this was a stadium-wide giveaway on Sunday. First 40,000 got the Kobe jersey. Now, this was a 1:10 game, and I got there around 9:30, and the line to get into the stadium, people were wrapped around the sidewalk to get into the stadium. This is the same thing that we saw
stadium
when they were
gates don't open till 11:10, by the way.
Yeah. So at 9:30, there was already lines on both sides of the sidewalk to walk into the stadium. These are the same lines that we saw with any Ohtani giveaway, whether it was the hat or whether it was the bobblehead. And I know it makes our life miserable trying to get into the stadium, because we're there that early. But Amie, there's Goltani coming up this Wednesday between the Doyers and the Orioles. So
I was contemplating going, and I just honestly, I don't think I have it in me to fight the lines. Like, I don't have that kind of patience right now.
So I don't know if people truly understand, like, this is going to be like that giveaway where they did the silver ones. Is that what it was?
It was gray.
It was the gray jersey.
Of the Ohtani original bobblehead giveaway, 1,700 had an away gray jersey, and then the rest of the 40,000 were the white home jersey. So it was luck of the draw where you came in, they were just mixed in with boxes. So you got a white one or you got one of the 1,700. So they're going to do the same thing. We don't know the number yet of how many gold ones will be available.
They haven't announced it, right? Like, they're keeping it
already just off the hook. So yeah. So some of them will be solid gold, not like literal 24 karat.
Solid gold.
Okay. And then but more like painted. So it'll just be a solid gold bobblehead. Him and Decoy.
If anybody gets a chance, I already see it. If I get my hands on one, I am totally doing Raiders of the Lost Ark with it. I'm going to reenact the opening scene of Raiders of the Lost Ark, where I'm going to get a bag of sand, and I'm just going to be like, look, I think it's kind of genius for the Dodgers to do this, because
it was already going to be a
madhouse.
It was already going to be a big deal. So,
but the fact that they're not telling how many they're going to be,
I think that's smart on their part.
This is what I'm saying. It is genius. The level of interest in this. It is.
Oh no, I was just saying smart for self-preservation. I'm not saying it's not genius. I'm just saying, like, whoa.
Oh, I totally agree with you. There's no way in the hell you couldn't pay me to go to a game like that. I mean, it is going to be a shit show. But
I don't get off work early enough to even attempt to try to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it is going to be madness, but I can't wait. I'm going to see the Raiders of the Lost Ark with Goltani. It's going to happen. You know what?
You can get one and paint it yourself.
If I didn't have anything else to do, I think I would go dressed as Indiana Jones. I would go dressed as Indiana Jones, get my gold my gold tawny, and then just run around the stadium with it.
That's
It'll be
assuming
like that.
you got the gold tawny, though.
It'll be like the opening scene, when they start chasing after him and he's running. It's gonna be like that.
Which one's the one that has the boulder? Because that's what I'm going to bowl you over with right now.
It's Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Okay.
Raiders has the boulder.
Okay.
That's what we're gonna reenact at Dodger Stadium when we get the gold tawny bobblehead.
No, we're not.
All right.
You can.
Well, thank you for sharing that enthusiasm, and that's gonna do it, ladies and gentlemen. Amie, any last words before we wrap things up?
Just no.
Just stop. I'm over you. I'm done. All right. For those of you listening on the audio portion of the podcast, please make sure you're subscribed to the podcast, rate us, write us a review, help spread the word. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, hit that thumbs up button, hit that notification, leave us comments. We love interacting with you. And most importantly, make sure you're following us on social media, on X at BB Shangri-La, on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch at Baseball Shangri-La. She is Amie Cuevas. I am Juan Ramirez. Nos despedimos con un beso. Amie, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye, people.